This video is not intended for children. Viewer discretion is advised.
If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Mornings of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki. Good morning, everyone, and a big good morning to my co-host this morning, my brother from another mother, the Rooster in the hen house. Dave Bob, how are you doing this morning, brother?
I'm doing good, brother. How's everybody else out there doing? Y'all doing good this morning? Throw one up in the chat.
That's right. Throw one up in the chat if you're doing good. It is cold here. It is cold. I woke up this morning and I was like, crap, it is cold.
Yeah, it's a little cool here. I think it was about 30 degrees this morning. People up north are just laughing their ass off right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But we're getting ones in chat. Keely Chow 1, Dega Outlaw 1, Snorted Poopers Cuber 1, Project Storytime 42, Claude Saline 1, Dean Krantz 1, Pat S 1.5, Star Wars Theology 1, Gun Bunny 1, Chris Persia 42, DJ Ronnie G 1, Mark the Infinitely Tired 1, Brian Dawes a half, Star Wars Theology 1, Snorted Poopus Cuber, my favorite polar bear in YouTube 69.
Yeah.
Jedi Bill 797 is a number 1. Agent Atwood 1. Lovely Sherry says, good morning. Good morning, lovely Sherry. Good morning to all of you. Good morning, Lady Arwen Avalon. Good morning, Star Wars Theology. Mark the Infinitely Tired. Brandon Ludetunes Fan 2000. Dave G Sound. Good morning. Good morning, Jedi Bill. Isaj Melody. Shellback TJC. Good morning. Good morning, Keely Chow. Roll Tide. Keely Roll Tide. Mr. Dragon. Dean Krantz. Dean says 30 degrees is short sleep weather. Gun Bunny, it's 28 degrees here, says Gun Bunny.
Oh, well, you know, you got to roll with the punches when you living down here in the summer and it's 101 with a somewhere around 90% humidity, you know, then you know they're saying they're hot up there when it's 80 degrees, you know, then we laugh at them.
Speaking of rolling with the punches, actor Bryan Cranston, who is known for playing Walter White in Breaking Bad, one of my favorite television shows of all time, recently said he has white blindness and he needs to learn to change.
Yeah, I can see him fumbling around feeling his way. He can't see anymore because he's white blind.
Well, I've heard of light blindness, like you know, you have problems, your eyes have problems adjusting to certain light. I've heard of night blindness, where you can't see at night. but I've never heard of white blindness. Let's discover together what
Yeah.
white blindness means.
It
So
means you voluntarily kneel.
he suffers like this is a disease.
Yeah.
White blindness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And advocates for limiting free speech. No more free speech, guys. This is the new thing. No more free speech. We have to stop free speech. While talking about Larry Shue's 1984 comedy The Foreigner, that he thought about directing at LA's Geffen Playhouse, Cranston details that his white blindness has something to do with laughing and belittling KKK members.
Huh.
It is a privileged viewpoint to be able to look at the KKK and laugh at them and belittle them for their broken and hateful ideology. The KKK in Charlottesville and white supremacists, that's still happening. It's not funny to any group that is marginalized by these groups' hatred, and it really taught me something, he asserted. From these Cranston stating, I realized, oh my God, if there's one, there's two, and if there's two, there are 20 blind spots that I have. What else am I blind to? If we're taking up space with a very palatable play from the 1980s, where rich old white people can laugh at whites and say shame on you and have a good night in the theater, things need to change. I need to change.
Oh, well, I guess, he's trying to keep from being canceled is the only thing I can figure. He's trying to get ahead of the curve because they're going to come for everybody sooner or later. They're coming for everybody. They've already started.
So he wants to limit free speech as if that's going to fix the problems.
If you ever wondered how the normal people in Germany were swayed and corrupted, all you have to do is look at what's going on right now up in Canada and in Australia and in New Zealand.
And up in Canada right now, they are going after anyone that supports what is happening on the ground in Ottawa.
Did you see where they actually said that if you even contributed to it,
Yes.
they can now freeze your account without a court order
And take your assets and your house and anything else they want. Yes.
and
They
if
can
you
seize your
happen,
property.
yep, and if you happen to be protesting and you have a pet with you, they are going to impound the pet at your expense, and after 8 days you can't take care of it. I don't know if they will be euthanized or what, but they said that that would no longer be yours.
So they're going to take your dog. They're going to take your cat. They're going to take whatever. And after 8 days, that's it. Once you're arrested, if you can't claim that animal within 8 days, then it's gone. Whether they euthanize it or give it away or put it up for adoption or whatever, you lose your pet.
That's just, history is not going to be kind to the tyrants that are showing their true face right now. This is gonna go down in history as something that is never gonna. I don't know what to say anymore. It's beyond my ken what's happening. And people are just turning a blind eye to it. The news media is not covering what's really going on behind the scenes. Peaceful protest. There's nothing out there. They're not like BLM where they were burning the city and looting and everything else. These people are peacefully protesting. The worst you can say is they're honking their daggum horns, and people get irritated at that. It's ridiculous.
Do you think that this is going to get worse before it gets better?
I have a feeling, yes, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse to a point where people are actually going to start really uprising, and then I don't know what's going to happen. Then it might get ugly. It might get ugly.
Mark brings up a point here, and I'll add to it here in just a second. That sounds incredibly like a certain group of people from Europe in the 30s and 40s, Loki. There were a group of people that put people's names on lists. They seized their bank account. They seized their property. They were rushed off to camps because they didn't know where else to put them all in the middle of the night, where they were only allowed to take one suitcase. Things were confiscated from them because they were not allowed to have them. Animals were not allowed to go along. Yes, I see exactly how this is like another incident that happened in the 30s, and that started all of that chaos in Europe. Yes. And it's amazing that this is 2022 and this shit's happening. We're going to seize your bank accounts. We're going to seize your property. We are trying to take your children away from you. How much further is this going to go?
I have no idea. And it's now coming out that certain individuals funded a hacker group to go after a presidential candidate earlier, break into his servers and try to plant evidence while he was a candidate. And also, after he became president, they broke into White House computers. And the news media is not covering any of that either. I wonder why.
No, and they won't. They won't. The media is bought and paid for, and that's another thing that's exactly like what happened in the 30s and 40s.
Oh, yeah.
The media was bought and paid for. Mexican Iron Man with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. He says, I'm worried for my Canadian brothers and sisters. Leftist Democrats are tyrannical and against freedom. That's why I left the party. I'm worried about my friend Roe from More Campaign, who's on the ground.
I'm worried about everyone up in Canada, even the ones that are going along with this. They're going to eventually come to their senses after they've lost everything, after they lost all their rights and their freedoms. And then what are they going to do?
I don't know. I don't know. And thank you so much for that $9.99 super chat, Mexican Iron Man. You guys keep the fires burning bright here in Valhalla. Thank you so very much, brother. And this one's just for you because I know you love it. Skull!
A dollar? I've never seen a dollar. Nobody's got a dollar. Let us see the dollar. There it is. It's beautiful. Take your hat off, boy. That's a dollar bill.
Take your hat off, boy. That's a dollar bill.
The OG skull.
The OG skull. Nothing like the original. Oh, shit. Where was yes, Chris Persia and Loki, Little Mustache Man started all that with one lie. It's for the safety of all citizens.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound familiar? History's trying to repeat, and it's happening here.
2020 in the West.
Happy Dinosaur 8000. All this chaos in the name of politics. Seriously, if it's red versus blue to you, you're not natural enough for politics. Yes. And it is to a lot of them. It has come down to nothing but red versus blue. I stayed mostly a moderate my whole life as far as politics goes, except for the last couple of years.
Yep. I've always been a middle of the road type of guy. I mean, there's one thing I've always been pretty staunch on, and that is the Constitution. The First, Second Amendment, those are sancta sanct. And that's the one thing that's being attacked now. Did you see where the CEO of YouTube got an award for being a champion of free speech, but she wants everyone.
Yes. She wants the Constitution pulled back because they want to limit free speech. Your First Amendment. Your First Amendment, but that doesn't surprise me because they've been trying to get rid of the Second Amendment forever too. So
yeah, well, that's the one thing that's keeping the First Amendment in play. The Second Amendment is the key to all of it, because a population that is defenseless is a population that is controlled.
Archer Collins asks, have you seen the memes of Justin Blackface in pink fascist uniform?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep. Honestly, I do not know how they think that they're going to stay in power after this power play that they've had. Because if it even has one slip, fails just a little bit, they're gone. And like I said, history is not going to be kind to them. History will not be kind to them.
If you control the flow of information and you control what people see and hear, it's not too hard to get away with it. As more and more people become aware of what is going on and how it's going on, it's harder and harder and harder to hide how nasty you are.
Well, that's the reason they're trying the best that they can to shut down all alternate forms of media, like trying to limit you on YouTube, trying to limit you on Twitter, trying to limit you on Facebook, trying to limit you on Instagram. They're trying to take control of it, and people are starting to get wise to it. And eventually, that stuff's going to come and turn back on them. And when it does, they ain't never seen the wreck that's going to happen.
Snorter Poopers Cuber, I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice. And let me remind you also that moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue. Barry Goldwater, 1964.
Yep.
So let's change topics.
Okay.
We've talked about Bryan Cranston. We've talked about the problems currently going on in Canada. Did you see the Super Bowl, Dave Bob?
I have not watched an NFL game in the last 2 years.
Neither have I. But one of the interesting things about this Super Bowl was no one was wearing a face diaper.
Oh, yeah. And still in that county, all the children in the schools still have to wear masks.
That's right.
And there's mask mandates in the city. Rules for thee and not for me.
They even did a video compilation of everyone at the Super Bowl, every celebrity without a mask during the Super Bowl. No one celebrity had a mask on at any point in time during the entire Super Bowl. So they must have been, holding their breath the whole game?
I don't know. I mean, that could be possible, I guess, but I don't think it's probable. Yeah, that's the way things are going now. A lot of places are starting to roll back the mask mandates and the proof of vaccination and whatnot and everything, because they see the writing on the wall. People are tired of it. I mean, people are just fed up with it. They're over it. It's been 2 years now that they've been dragging this stuff out, and people are getting tired of it, and they're going to start rising up. I don't care. It does not matter. Eventually, people are not going to just lay down and just let this stuff keep on going, because the powers that be want it to keep on going. Right now, they're probably looking around trying to find something else that they can spring on us. It's beyond my ken.
So Dean says the employees had to wear masks or lose their jobs. So the employees at the stadium had to wear masks or lose their jobs. But the celebrities could get away with holding their breath for the entire game. In Project Storytime, they were holding their breath the whole game. Punk Waddle, when you say face diaper, are you referring to the high fashion base jockstrap line that La Reina Creole found?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was something I've never seen before and hope to never see again.
And I completely agree with Happy Dinosaur's statement here. You can only fuck up so much till people give you the finger.
Yeah. Did you see the actual? The other day I saw an article, and I was just confounded. Those students that were marching to keep the face mask.
Yes, I saw that.
Order in place. I mean, what kind of dadgum just idiocy is that? I mean, it's beyond pale how these people are just so sheep like that
they feel protected. See, this is the thing, and this is the thing that nobody ever wants to talk about. We'll get into this. They feel protected. As long as you do what we tell you, we'll give you money and we'll give you protection and we'll pay your rent. This is the draw to them of socialism. This is why they're so pro-socialist, is because they want to feel like they are protected and taken care of like a pet.
Well, the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money. I guess it's like their little security blankie. They're just, like a 3-year-old with their little blankie, and that mask is their security blankie.
So that's why they're going to go out and they're going to fight for it, because they see that as their warm little security blanket. Happy Dinosaur, I hate political sheep. Well, you eat them. You're a dinosaur. Munch, munch, munch. Munch, munch, munch. Happy Dinosaur. Munch, munch, munch on the sheep, sheep, sheep.
I say, I'll have you know, I descended from a T-Rex.
Badass alpha children wear gray. They work much harder than we do because they're so frightfully clever. I'm really awfully glad I'm a beta because I don't work so hard, and then we are much better. I resent that.
Yep.
The no work movement makes up these BS reasons, but they're really just super lazy. Yes.
People are expecting, after 2 years, people are expecting to be taken care of. And
do you know what happens in a socialist world when you don't do anything? Do you know what happens? You don't get anything. Nope. It's no different than with capitalism. In fact, they're more likely to throw you in the incinerator than any other type of government, because you don't do anything for them.
Or send you to a gulag and make you do forced labor.
And I'm sorry, Happy Dinosaur. Yes, not chomp, 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 but munch, munch. Or not munch, 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 but chomp, chomp, chomp. Tasty lamb chops, chomp, chomp. Yes. Yeah, throw you into forced labor, and then it's the same outcome. It's the same outcome. We'll take you down to the incinerator when you're burned out. You're no good to us anymore. The Russians threw people in gulags. That was their favorite pastime. Hey, we'll throw you out to a frozen wasteland in a prison
and make
you'll
you
never
work
ever.
until you die.
Yeah, and make you work until you die. So I really, these pro-socialists that think that this is the way, they have no idea. Oh, we're just going to be able to kick back and the government will take care of us and we won't have to do anything. And it'll be like it was when everyone was going crazy with the COOF. Because remember, the government paid our rent and the government paid our bills and the government sent us money. And it'll be just like that if we adopt socialism. So yay, socialism. No. Socialism is everyone is the ideal socialism is everybody works and everybody gets treated the same. But that's never what happens.
Nope.
That
There's
is not
always
what
a
happens.
ruling class that is going to be on top and
sipping champagne, banging hookers, and doing whatever they want while you have to stand in line for 4 hours down at the mini mart to get one roll of toilet paper for the week.
and a loaf of bread.
Does that sound good to you?
Look
Because
to
that's
the
what it
south.
always...
Look to the south, Venezuela. See what happened there.
And Venezuela used to be a rich country
Yep.
because of its oil. And look at where they're at. They went socialist. And look at where they're at. We're already experiencing things here because of the way shit was during the COOF. And that was just the way it was during the COOF. And pretty much all that's over with. They want to act like it's not, but all that's over with.
And there's still empty shelves in grocery stores. There's still shortages. There's still all kinds of stuff. And gas, the price of fuel. I mean, not just for your vehicles, but for heating your house, for everything is going up. Everybody seems to think that, going electric is going to solve all the problems. 80% of the electricity in this country is produced by some kind of fossil fuel, whether natural gas or coal.
Yes, because they will not allow the companies to build more nuclear reactors. And the ones that they are building take so long. 30 years. 30 years.
They have a technology out there that was perfected in the 60s. It was called, instead of using uranium, they were using thorium and molten salt, a perfectly viable option. And they actually had it working. It was impossible for a meltdown because if anything happened, the salt plug would melt out and the control reaction would stop automatically. And that reactor actually did not produce the waste because it used the waste to reburn the fuel. And all the radioactive isotopes were much shorter lived than the ones that are in the water reactors that they're using now. The reason why that they went with the water reactors and the U-235 reactors, because they wanted to produce nuclear weapons, and that was the only way you could get it. A thorium reactor will not produce that type of fissionable materials.
So the finger pointing has already begun with Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Recently, a article from Sledge accuses Tolkien of anti-Semitic and says his works aren't free from criticism. Anti-Semitic stereotyping in his depiction of dwarves may have been written with good intentions, but calling the people gifted does not atone for the stereotypes he perpetuated. And this has led to the isms and obes and Yahtzees that are currently defending his work and saying that this is not the way with the new cast and what they have done to the show. If you're okay with actors of color appearing as orcs or Easterlings, you're also perpetuating the stereotypes that appear in the text of The Lord of the Rings, whether intentionally or not. The people of color often represent evil. Sledge then continues, shows ignorance as he quotes a letter Tolkien wrote to Milton Waldman, letter 131. However, you wouldn't be surprised to learn that Sledge takes the quote out of context and completely misconstrues it. He writes, Tolkien had a vision, but it was a vision that he wanted others to fill in the blanks of. As he says in letter 131, he fully intended to leave scope for other minds and hands. If you look at the full context of letter 131, you will realize that his entire assertion is a bald-faced lie. Tolkien wrote to Waldman, do not laugh, but once upon a time, my crest has long since fallen. I had a mind to make a body of more or less connected legend, ranging from the large and cosmogonic to the level of romantic fairy story, the larger founded on the lesser in contact with the earth. The lesser drawing splendor from the vast black cloths, which I could dedicate simply to England, to my country. It should possess the tone and quality that I desired, somewhat cool and clear, but redolent of our air, the clime and soil of the Northwest, meaning Britain and the hither parts of Europe. This is why there's a bunch of white people in Lord of the Rings. Not Italy, or the Aegean, still less the East, and while possessing, if I could achieve it, the fair elusive beauty that some call Celtic, though it is rarely found in genuine ancient Celtic things, it should be high, purged of the gross, and fit for the more adult mind of a land long now steeped in poetry. I would draw some of the greatest tales in fullness, and leave many only placed in the scheme and sketched. The cycles should be linked to a majestic whole, and yet leave scope for other minds and hands, wielding paint and music and drama. Absurd. He's talking about a legend dedicated to England.
People need to realize that you can look at any point in history and you can find things that people were doing according to the modern day norms are not right. That's the way things were at the time. You can't judge history by today. You can't judge history by today's standards.
He wrote a story. He wrote these books that are now legend and held
second only to the Bible.
Yes, second only to the Bible. That's what I was going to say. Held so closely to the heart that they're second only to the Bible.
And yet these peckerheads are going to write the story that he couldn't.
It is simply another matter of, if you don't like what we're doing, you are an ist and ob and a Yahtzee. This has been going on for years now. They have pointed their fingers at all of us. I've seen it. I've seen the articles. I've seen them take Gary's head, Jeremy's head, Ethan Van Sciver's, and put them on Yahtzees in black and white photos, like they are the leaders of the current third right. And that's all horseshit.
Now, especially because they're founding members of the modern day what's going on. Everything that they project onto you is things that they are. They are projecting onto you what they are.
I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of it. I'm sick of having a finger pointed at me because I am defending someone's work that is dead. The only person that I've come out in defense against in the last couple of years that has had their work completely shit on and destroyed, that is not dead, is George Lucas. And that's because he sold his company and did something really fucking stupid. He sold it to the one company he shouldn't have sold it to, but he got $4.5 million for it. So I'm sure he's like, you know what? At the end of the day, I got $4 billion for a story I came up with. Who else can say that? Everyone's an ist. That's right. I'm an ist. You're an ist. That's right. Wouldn't you like to be an ist? We thought the same thing. Wouldn't you like to be an ist too?
Oh. Yeah, I'm getting to where the terms have no meaning anymore. I mean, it's pointless to call people that anymore because they use it so much, so often, and so many times that it loses all meaning. Nobody even cares about it anymore. If they call you a istophobe or whatever, it's just meaningless anymore. Lost all meaning. They have overused it so much.
So I had a college professor that gave us an assignment and said, pick a giant in literature, your favorite, and write a paper. Basically, you had to write a paper about our favorite literary giant. And at the time, I picked Mark Twain. I got a barely passing grade. And the reason why I got a barely passing grade was because all the writing of it was perfect. The information was not to her liking. He was an ist, an O, and a Yahtzee, and I should have picked someone better. This was the worst person that I could pick. I'm very disappointed in my choice in historic literary giants. Basically, it was her dissatisfaction with who I picked that gave me the low grade.
Well,
the only thing that saved it was my penmanship and how I wrote it.
Well, when you bring stuff like that into play, just subjective from your point of view, just and give somebody a bad grade just because your worldview is not the same as the person that has done the project or the assignment, that right there that's not teaching. That's just, well, it's just being a dick.
Agreed. And DJ Ronnie G, I once quoted Twain, there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. Those are the worst.
Oh, yeah. Statistics. Oh, you can make a statistic anything you want.
And he says, but my coworker responded, but Mark Twain was racist.
He used the language of the times.
Is that like saying Reese's cup?
Yeah.
Reese's cup? If you're out there, Coach, we love you.
And there's people out there right now wanting to take his books out of all the libraries and burn them.
Well, they did that with Tolkien too. It wasn't long ago that they did that with Tolkien, that he was an Istinob and a Yahtzee, and now they're coming out with this show. And they're saying, oh, but this is what he always wanted to do. This is what he always wanted to write. He just never did.
Something a man spent his life slaving over and creating, and they're going to be able to do in less than 2 years what took him a lifetime.
Without using anything he wrote about it. See, all they can, we talked about this the other day, all they can use is things that were mentioned in The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings books. They cannot use anything from the Silmarillion. They cannot use anything from the Unfinished Tales. They can't use anything from the other books. All they can use is things that were mentioned in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And they have to work around that, and they can't do anything that was in those other books.
That's why we're seeing all these pictures of mages dressed in battle armor and commanding armies, and black beardless queen trolls. Just, I could go on and on.
I love this. Dean Krantz, without Twain, Kipling, and Tolkien, these unimaginative hacks would not have jobs. The best answer I have to their argument is to call them a liar. Those authors have talent, and they do not. Recently, I was talking about, someone asked me why I was not covering Star Trek Discovery anymore. And I said, and I read something out per day, Bob, before we started the show. It's a trash show with trash writers, with trash ideas, with trash concepts. It is not Star Trek anymore. It is JJ's demonic child of Star Trek.
Steino, Star Trek in name only.
So what I said the other day was, I can sum it all up like this. The crew of the Enterprise would have laid down their lives for each other and the Federation. Spock gave his life saving the crew. Kirk sacrificed the Enterprise itself to save the crew and a reborn Spock. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one, and Kirk flipped that for Spock because he was his brother. No one on Discovery is worthy of Mikey Spock or her needs and wants. When the entire show circles around one single individual, it loses not only that spark that made Star Trek great, but that humanity that even Spock was capable of at times. It's a trash concept of a trash show with trash writers on a trash network. That's Star Trek today, in a nutshell. It's not what it used to be, and it never will be again.
No, and if you like it, that's fine. However, it's not Star Trek. That's the only way you can look at it. It's perverted well past any reasonable expectation that a fan has of that being actual Star Trek.
Project Storytime says, don't forget Dr. Seuss was canceled. One of the most compassionate men in recent memory. If he's not good enough for children, nobody is. Gap Stargate, Loki, do you think they have or they will alter Tolkien's books for future publishing? If so, that would be sad. You have to understand something, that the Tolkien Society is there to prevent that from happening. But they have to prevent it. They have to stop it from happening. They actually have to do their fucking jobs, which they're not doing with this show. They're just clapping their hands like seals and going, oh my God, it's so stunning and brave.
McQueen.
So if they approve it, they can. If they don't, then they can't. But the Tolkien Society is supposed to be there to protect the Tolkien estate and to protect the work. There should not be any changing of anything in any of those books unless an error was made in printing. And then, of course, you go back and you fix what's wrong. But it's their job to protect his work and to make sure it is not altered to current day events or anything like that. That's what they're there for. Christopher Tolkien protected that work until he died in 2020. I wish there was someone alive protecting Gene Roddenberry's work.
Yeah.
Where they couldn't pull the shit they're pulling today. It has nothing to do with having a black woman as a lead cast member. It's the egregious writing and the way they have treated his work, and the way they defend it is, oh well, he was a drunk, a cheat, and a womanizer. Yeah, I know he was. I worshipped him.
He was a product of his generation. And
how dare you look back on a previous generation that stood tall and proud and call them names because you think you're superior to them.
That
you
was
got
a
another thing
generation
coming.
Yeah, that was a generation that saved this world from tyranny.
How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you act like you were superior? And that is the problem today. That is what is going on. That is what is going on in Canada right now. People think they are superior to other people. That is what is going on all around the world with all this SJW shit. That is where it is all going bad, is we feel this way, so we are superior to you. Saying
we know more than you do. We know better than you do. Whatever you think you know, we have more information. We have science. We have this. We have...
Oh, don't get me started on the fucking science. Emotional science is what they're calling it. Emotional science. We can act however we want because of emotional science. It's emotional science. So at the end of the day, we're right because we're going to tack science on the end of it. Follow the science. Believe in science. Trust science. Even if it's emotional science. No, that is not science. That is you putting a word onto a sentence so that you can say, ha ha, we're right and you wrong. That's it. There's no logic in that. There's no science in that.
The actual science is never going to be revealed because it's subjective.
And it's not just about the fans, Dave G. Sound. They don't have to do what the fans tell them. You want to know what the real, this whole toxic fandom shit, you want to know what that really is? That is their idea that we're trying to tell them you have to do everything we say. And that's not true. We never said that. We never acted like that. We just want good shows that honor the original concept. If you want to come out with a new sci-fi show and you want to put Michael Burnham in it and you want to have her running around the galaxy saving it every other minute, by all means do that. That is, Star Trek though is not the place for that. That is not what Star Trek is about.
Nope.
Star Trek is about exploring strange new worlds and new civilizations, boldly going where no one has gone before, meeting alien races, first contact, sometimes fighting. Fighting is a part of it too. Just look at the Dominion. Look at the Dominion War. And that there were echoes of that in the original series when the Organians talked to Kirk and the Klingons about how one day they would join forces against a bigger enemy. It echoes even all the way back to the original series. That is love. When a guy sits down, yes, that is lore. When a guy sits down and watches the entire first original Star Trek series and then comes out with a movie called The Wrath of Khan, that is love of an IP. I sat down and I watched every episode, and then I said, you know what? We're gonna do a follow-up to Space Seed, and it's gonna be badass.
Brilliant.
That is fucking brilliant. Do you know what you get today? You get people that come into an office and saying, okay, where's my flashcard so I can learn about this show? Where's my flashcards at? When is scissor time? When can we have scissor time later today? Okay, thank you. We're gonna stop everything and we're gonna have scissor time. Because, yeah.
I love that YouTube channel where those guys do the pitching of the shows.
Yes.
Barely an inconvenience. I mean, that is so true of what is going on now. It's hilarious. Oh man.
Stop ruining a beloved IP. Yes.
No.
And Dean
Yeah,
Crane,
right.
Gene Roddenberry was a combat bomber pilot, LAPD officer, commercial pilot, and finally a writer. These people tearing him down have nothing and lived no life.
Nope.
Thank you, Dean. That's exactly right. They've never done anything. How dare they point their finger at another generation and say how horrible they were? How dare they?
Everything now revolves around feelings, not facts, not science. It's how you feel about something. And that's no way to live, because people are going to feel different about different things. And just because they don't feel the same way you do does not mean they're a ist or a phobe or a Yahtzee or whatever else they're going to be calling you out for. You've got to learn that everybody is different. Everybody looks at things differently. We've got to come together. We can't just keep pushing everybody away just because they don't think exactly like you do. That's no way to live. And if we keep it up, we're going to go to hell in a handbasket a lot quicker than we seem to be going right now. And I find that hard to believe, because we're sliding down a slippery slope right now.
Pat wants to watch Scissor Time for emotional science.
Yeah.
Jordan Pooper Skeeber, hey guys, let's have Khan Noonien Singh played by a pale-faced Brit. It's stunning and it's brave. Asaj Melody, there are people that want to dictate on lived experience when they have neither lived nor experienced. Absolutely,
So
positively
so
agree
true.
with that. Well, sir, if you have nothing else, anything you would like to comment on, anything you would like to say before we get out of here, speak now, forever hold your peace.
I just want to say I enjoy this, and I am glad you keep asking me back every Friday to do this with you. And I'm looking forward to meeting up with you at the end of April in Nashville.
Hell yes. Hell yes. At Echo Base Networks meetup at the ICC Con. Yes, absolutely. I cannot wait. It's going to be one hell of a good time. Guys, I hope you've had a great week. I hope you've had a fun time here in the mornings this week. We will be back later tonight with Mexican Iron Man for the late show with Loki and Mexican Iron Man. You are, of course, invited, as always, Dave Bob.
I shall be there.
We did not do this last week, but we are going to blow it up off the chain this week. Mexican Iron Man has the guest list. Mark the Infinitely Tired with a members chat, and he has been a member of Loki's Army for 13 months. Thank you so very much, Mark. He said, "Dear writers and aspiring writers, please research any product based on a current IP." Absolutely. Mexican Iron Man with $4.99 super chat says, "Loki, you don't seem to understand. They have so much to teach us about why we are bad people. We just need to shut up and watch it and learn and be better."
No!
Well, I have one thing to say about that. Suck it, Blue!
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.
Take it easy, everybody.